Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
He is.
Watch this movie.
You are invited.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of WTM Watch This Movie. I am Eric Mulder.
He's probably 6'7", 6'8", but a skinny 6'7", 6'8", about 160.
Joining me as always is Mr. Positivity himself, Wolfie T.
I am the kindest man alive.
What's up?
Oh, I don't know. Full disclosure, I would say I'm pretty excited about this episode.
I am too. It's 100% disclosure day. It's the day for disclosure, and we are ready.
That it is. Much will be revealed. We have a interview with a cast member, and we have a returning guest to help us break it all down, Stan Switek.
Yafa's free.
Yes, it is a very special day. It is Disclosure Day, and I'm excited. As we said, the perceptions are going to be shattered. Your notions of reality will be twisted, and we will have full disclosure to the entire world all at once today.
Today is June 12th, which means it is Disclosure Day on Watch This Movie. So, of course, that means we're going to break down the 1994 film Disclosure. This was a first-time watch for me and Brett, right?
No, this is the second time for me.
Okay. But this was suggested by Mr. Stan Switek. Why don't you tell us about your little background with this film?
Well, this is probably my 20th or 25th viewing of Disclosure. It's a movie I've always enjoyed for its kind of outrageousness and its kind of hard-hitting look at cutthroat office politics, and it was kind of a hot button issue when it came out, because this was when sexual harassment in the workplace was starting to be recognized, kind of recognized on a large scale for the first time.
Yeah, when was the what was it, Clarence Thomas? When was the Clarence Thomas thing? That had to be not long before this.
What was that?
The Supreme Court justice who was accused of sexual harassment. Was it Anita Hill? I will say what it was. Anita Hill accused him of sexual harassment. 1991 was the allegations. So yeah, this would have been shortly after that for sure. So that would have been a hot button, straight out of the news cycle issue in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm. Well, they even had commercials for it at the time, kind of like public service announcements, if you remember, on TV. And it would be like a scenario of a male boss harassing a female underling. And I remember one of these commercials, the boss said to her, come on, feel a little more sexy. Hey, we're talking about your job here. And then the woman says, no, we're talking about sexual harassment, and I don't have to take it. Maybe we can get the audio of that in there if it's on YouTube.
That sounds real familiar. I feel like I've seen that before for sure.
You're doing a great job, but you're not using all your assets. With a body like that, you could go places.
Sexual harassment makes you feel like less of a person. For help and hotline numbers, ask for the Stop Sexual Harassment booklet at your public library.
Be a little more sexy. Hey, we're talking about your job here.
No, we're talking about sexual harassment here, and I don't have to take it.
Sexual harassment violates you, and it violates the law.
But I mean, as you can tell, we're celebrating Disclosure today. If you can see our backgrounds, we're celebrating the computer conglomerate Digicom, and that's our kind of our Zoom backdrops that we've have that I put together for. It's celebrating Digicom, and it's celebrating the manufacturing of the Archimax hard drives that Michael Douglas's team is in charge of in Disclosure.
The most advanced CD-ROM ever invented.
Well, is it a CD-ROM or I think it's a CD-ROM drive.
It's an external CD-ROM drive.
Okay, yeah.
Which was hot shit in 1994.
Well, yeah, this is a dawn of kind of a pivotal moment in the development of personal computers and that kind of thing. So
yeah, I was very grateful. Our man, Stan Switek, Digicom's man in Southern California, was able to procure Northern California.
You mean Seattle? He's in the Seattle area where Digicom is headquartered.
And I ride the ferry into work every day.
And they cheer you when you make it just in time.
Yes, and I'll mention that when I get to it, but that's really stupid.
And you let your wife drive you to work.
What's getting the shaft being sent to Austin? Is that what it was?
Yeah. There's no fucking way we're going to Austin.
All right. Well, yes, if you were tuning in to expecting a different episode, I don't know what else you would be expecting. This is the well-known sci-fi courtroom drama Disclosure from 1994, starring one Michael Douglas and Demi Moore, among others. So I don't know what else
I did see an article a few weeks ago that's from the woman herself that her name is pronounced Dummy. This is real. Her name. It was a direct quote. My name, no offense to Demi Moore, or not Demi Moore, Demi Lovato, but my name is pronounced Dummy.
Do you think
that's for real?
That's for real.
Do you think she's still banging Bruce Willis in his current state she's trying to get back into his will or something?
She might be.
Well, she'd have to be doing it
house a lot.
She'd have to be doing it at that. They put him in a home, He's not staying at the house anymore.
He can still get some nookie at the retirement castle.
That means there's even less supervision.
She's got to go there.
There's even less supervision at the memory care center.
They've said, you can look this up. They've said that retirement homes are like the #1 breeding ground for sexually transmitted diseases. I'm not joking.
I wouldn't be surprised. Minnesota just passed a law that allows them to sell liquor in the nursing homes.
Really?
Yeah. You can see that? It was all over. It was all over the news. It was like headline news.
I don't keep up with the news, the local news.
It was on the local news. It was the top story several days.
I got to see it on Twitter, or else it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. But, well, I guess without further ado, we can get into our newer segment, movie recommendations, before we analyze and break down Disclosure from 94. Let's remove our backgrounds here. Okay. Would someone like to go first, or shall I?
Go ahead.
You choose.
Okay. I'm going to go with Vox Lux. Vox Lux from Brady Corbet, if you will, the director behind The Brutalist. That was nominated a couple of years back. This was kind of his first major feature. It wasn't his first feature overall, but first major production. Stars Natalie Portman as a pop star. Jude Law is her manager. It was a great supporting cast. It's better if you don't know that much about it, other than to know that it's about a pop star in her life from adolescence into adulthood, not just young adulthood, but I'd say someone pushing 40, pushing maybe mid 40s. I think it's a great commentary on the state of our culture and how we treat celebrities in our society, how we hold them up to certain esteem when we probably shouldn't. It has an incredible soundtrack that was aided by Sia, the pop artist Sia. I think she wrote a lot of the songs. Natalie Portman sings. There's a young girl who plays the child version of Natalie Portman, and she also sings. So you kind of see her when she's a teenager and then when she's an adult. So Portman sings all the adult songs, and she's actually pretty good. The songs, they fit the movie perfectly. They're great pop songs. I love the soundtrack. I bought it immediately. There's a lot of songs that kind of like, oh, that sounds like a Katy Perry song. Oh, that sounds like it sounds like a Lady Gaga song, that sort of a thing. So it really fits perfectly with the movie. It's one of my favorite films of the past decade and a half. Probably top five for the century, for being honest. Performances are great. This is my favorite Jude Law performance. Not that I've seen a ton of Jude Law movies, but he is fantastic in here. Couldn't recommend it more. Go out and find Vox Lux. It's a little hard to find, I guess. It's not streaming very often, but buy it on Blu-ray, stream it if you can. Vox Lux.
I was gonna ask, does Natalie Portman play the child version of the singer, like that movie Aileen, the not Celine Dion biopic, where the writer and director and star played the titular Aileen from age like 6 to mid 40s?
No, it's played by Raffi Cassidy, if you know her. She was in
maybe.
I think she was in Killing of a Sacred Deer, but
Okay,
she plays.
So I've probably seen her and stuff.
Yeah, she plays the teenage version, and then in the second half of the film, she plays Natalie Portman's daughter. So it's kind of when they switch, it's kind of like, wait, what? But yeah,
I feel like that one's been relegated to Tubi for a lot of the most
Really?
recent years. Yeah, which is
it's a
unfortunate
five-star movie. Let me
because
tell
I'd
you.
like to watch it.
I'll challenge you to watch it sometime. Give you the Blu-ray. Maybe when we're done with Die Another Day.
Sure.
You're doing Die Another Day
Not until probably closer to wintertime. Because
with who?
we've been going through, all the Bond films, and Brett finally just watched Goldeneye. So he's got Tomorrow Never Dies and World's Not Enough and Die Another Day yet.
He's doing them as the challenges on our recently seen episodes. I'd never seen any of the Bond movies until he started challenging me to watch them, and now there's like 3 left.
Yeah, he's seen the Craigs because he caught up with them before No Time to Die.
Yeah, I should have skipped those. Anyways, all right. My movie recommendation is The Cursed. I believe it came out in it's listed as 2021 in IMDb, but it was in theaters in 2022 when I saw it initially. So it's a horror movie set in like turn of the 20th century England. It's about these. I mean, it's not really a village, but it's a group of landowners in the English countryside have a gypsy problem. There's a bunch of gypsies squatting on their land, and they decide they need to take care of it. And as they do, the elder gypsy woman places a curse on all of them, and it leads to a bunch of people being killed in the village, if you will. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but there's a werewolf element to it, which many gypsy curses revolve around werewolves. So it's like the wolf man. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's brutally violent, almost shockingly violent, but it's really well done. It's a lot of fun. I thought the creature effects are great. It was a nice spin on the old woman gypsy curse genre, in my opinion. So I would recommend you go see or seek out The Cursed.
You say gypsy, I think you mean Romani. That's the politically correct term.
It's okay. Mulder's gypsy.
I was just about to say, I'm not offended. It's okay. I'm a quarter gypsy.
Well, these were different times, gypsy at the time.
Where does it take place again?
It's like the English countryside.
Okay.
So it's bookended by World War One. There's scenes at the beginning and the end that are set during World War One. So it takes place mostly about 15 years before. So it's like early 1900s. But yeah, it's a nice creature feature, really interesting, great effects, good acting. Just a good horror movie. The blurb on the Blu-ray cover says it's a creepy and bone-crunching horror gem, which is from the Chicago Sun-Times. So Roger Ebert's former newspaper agrees.
Dread Central said it's a bloody good time at the movies.
Yeah, most of the blurbs are like that. The back blurb from the Daily Mirror, it says a brutal take on a classic horror monster, which again, it's similar to a wolf man or a wolf werewolf type movie. They kind of hide it for most of the movie, but I don't think it hurts it that you know it's coming.
Okay. All right. Well then for me, kind of keeping in the spirit of like the show and tell aspect of the movie recommendations, I did want to briefly show what I made for no particular reason other than we're covering disclosure. This is a homemade Digicom ID card based on the actual screen used Digicom ID cards you can't really see in the movie, but every character in the movie has one of these Digicom IDs.
What Stan has right there is a
As
one of one.
Yes.
It's a pretty rare
Yeah.
item.
As for my movie recommendation, this is a 1968 action thriller starring Rod Taylor, Yvette Mimieux, and Jim Brown called Dark of the Sun. And it's a really pulse pounding, extremely violent, especially for the 60s, really badass tough guy movie about mercenaries it's set during the real life Congo Civil War. And Rod Taylor leads a group of mercenaries to recover stolen diamonds. So they're traveling aboard a train with a bunch of UN soldiers, and they basically everything goes awry, and they have to fight a bunch of like African Congo tribesmen, and it gets really bloody, it gets really violent. It's a really take no prisoners, it pulls no punches, and it's definitely one of my favorite movies. It's shot and directed by Jack Cardiff, who's a renowned cinematographer. I think one of the more well-known movies he photographed was Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a Blu-ray from Warner Archive. And as for the bonus features, it does have a trailer.
There's a great feature, I know, on the Blu-ray, which is out there, the Blu-ray of this film.
And it also has a commentary I haven't listened to because no one involved with the actual film is on the commentary. It's a commentary by Larry Karaszewski, Josh Olson, Brian Sauer, and Elric D. Kane. I think those last two people are like horror podcasters. And if I'm not mistaken, at least one of them, I could be wrong, I think one of them went down for sexual assault.
Okay.
Like I said, I could be wrong, but those names sound familiar. It's rated PG despite the level of violence. And I guess it's most well known for a famous scene where Rod Taylor fights a guy with a chainsaw. So yeah, that's a great movie.
Is it chainsaw versus chainsaw?
No, Rod Taylor doesn't have any weapons, and this guy's attacking him with a chainsaw.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's like it's the centerpiece of the cover art.
Oh, nice. That sounds like a great movie.
It's one of my favorite movies, and and actually Quentin Tarantino of all people is a big fan of it because he used the opening title music in Inglourious Bastards, and Rod Taylor is in Inglourious Bastards too. I'm not endorsing Inglourious Bastards. I don't even like that movie, but it's worth noting that Quentin Tarantino is a fan of Dark of the Sun.
Okay. Glorious Bastards is my favorite Quentin movie.
It's towards the bottom of my Quentin rankings, but I like it. But it's.
I think we can all agree that. I guess I'm not sure. Stan, are you a fan of Hateful Eight?
I tried watching it once and I wasn't into it, so I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't finish it.
That I could say we are all in agreement in that Hateful Eight is probably his worst.
No, I disagree.
I was bored. It felt like a TV series.
Yeah.
They did turn it into a TV series, didn't they?
Well, in Netflix
on Netflix.
On Netflix,
or they
expanded
turned it into a miniseries.
Well, yeah, because it was expanded and uncut, and it was about 4 hours. Because I think they split it into 4 parts.
I'm not watching that.
Like a Lonesome Dove type of thing.
4 hours.
I've only seen the theatrical version, not the extended, not the 70 millimeter. Just
you didn't watch the 70 millimeter roadshow presentation of the Hateful Eight?
No, because
how about you take it on the road and don't come back. How's that for a road show?
Because the one they brought to Minnesota got burned on the first night.
Oh, that's horrible.
Remember that?
They fucked it up.
At the Mall of America?
I got a collector's item here, though. Check this out. The Hateful Eight.
No,
this
but
is what you got if you attended the road show. I got this from one
Special
Alex
roadhead
Jones.
engagement.
Yeah. In 70 millimeter. So we got production stills. What do we got? Characters. From script to road show. There's even
From script to roadhead.
Even got like a poster. But yeah, I have no interest in putting it up because it's my least favorite Tarantino. I'd still give it
Speaking
3
of 70
stars, but
this isn't related to Tarantino, but it's something funny that I read. There was a movie theater, I forget which one in Los Angeles, that was having an event where they were going to show a 70 millimeter presentation of Terminator 2. And it eventually turned out that it fell through because they weren't able to get the 70 millimeter print or something. So then they were going to just show it digitally in 4K, which is probably that awful. It's probably how it looks if you watch it on 4K, which is ugly. It's very ugly. But then even worse than that, they weren't offering refunds to people that had already bought tickets for 70 millimeter. Apparently, so people were very upset.
I would be too.
Yeah,
it's a bait and switch. Did it say subject to change on the tickets? I mean, that's
I don't know.
It seems like a deceptive practice.
Seeing a movie like that in one of those theaters in Los Angeles is horrible because you're seeing it with like a film buff crowd and they're going to be clapping and cheering at everything. And it's really annoying.
And then you're going to have that guy who went up into the booth to take photos with the film.
Me?
Yeah, that.
No, not you. Who was that fucking loser that was posting on Twitter when he went up in the booth for? I don't even remember what it was. It was
Patrick or Project Hail Mary, and there's this guy named Patrick who like on Twitter that like fetishizes IMAX, and he has like an IMAX hat and he has like an IMAX jacket, and when he goes to see a movie in IMAX, somehow he worms his way up into the projection booth, and he's like, "Here's me. I took a picture with the IMAX projector
with the film. I took a picture with the film. Look how big it is.
I hope it catches fire and it's like a spark gets on him and he burns up."
Well, then he's like, even if you have to get on a plane to see it in IMAX 70 millimeter, you should do that.
He did that. He did say that. He said it's worth flying to another state to see Project Hail Mary, Project Hail Satan in IMAX.
I think it could be.
Disagree.
I think certain films in IMAX can be worth driving a half hour, but that's about it. It's about how long it took me to go to the Zoo IMAX, which was a true IMAX. We don't have it anymore.
Yeah, if it's a if
poser IMAXs.
If it's a true IMAX, then maybe, but aren't like most of them like fake IMAXs?
Yeah,
they used to be called lie. They used to be called lie maxes because they weren't real.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Well, they're just branded. Do they even have real ones anymore? I suppose there's those ones that people take the pictures of or whatever.
Well, all you need
it is. Goes from floor to ceiling.
You just need the correct aspect ratio. And
or you could see it in 40X and have your back broken.
Yeah.
Right.
There is a certain, I think, screen size requirement, but it's not very big. But yeah, the true IMAXs, the real deal ones, those are impressive. But that's about it. We don't have any around Minnesota anymore. We have several IMAXs, and they're all very meh. They're okay. They're nothing compared to what the Zoo IMAX is sitting on and not using. Because they remodeled that theater just a few years before it closed. So it had a new projector, new seats, new everything. Just sitting there. All right, well, let's get back to Disclosure. Let's get into the details. Disclosure from 1994, directed by Barry Levinson, kind of a heavy hitter. You know him as the director of Rain Man, Wag the Dog, Bugsy. His most recent one was Alto, or did he just produce Alto Nights or did he also direct it?
He directed the Alto Nights.
Well, that was one of the worst movies I saw last year.
It was not good. I didn't hate it, but it was like mediocre at best. I didn't understand why Robert De Niro needed to play two roles because like he just played best friends.
Right.
Like they weren't brothers or like there's no reason to be played by the same character or the same actor.
Yeah.
I'm looking over his filmography, and I haven't seen them all, but the only other movie of his I've remotely enjoyed was Sphere. That's the one with Samuel L. Jackson and Dustin Hoffman. It's based on a Michael Crichton movie, just like Disclosure. So maybe Barry Levinson must have been a big Michael Crichton fan or something.
Okay. I mean, I do like Rain Man a lot. I'm a fan of Good Morning Vietnam. I liked The Natural. I like Diner. Been forever since I've seen Diner, but I remember liking it. Tin Man is one I've been interested in but never seen. I think I've seen parts of Toys. I don't really remember anything from it.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. I also like Rain Man a lot. I think that's an amazing movie.
I liked Bandits.
I've seen The Bay. That's like he did a found footage horror movie of all genres.
Oh, really?
That was I don't remember that being very good.
I saw You Don't Know Jack with
he did
Pacino.
a bunch of he did a bunch of HBO biopics. You Don't Know Jack, The Wizard of Lies, Paterno.
Oh, You Don't Know Jack. I like that a lot. I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
with Al Pacino.
Yeah,
as Jack Kevorkian. I like that.
I haven't seen that one. I saw Paterno when that came out. That was all right. But he did Envy. I just remember seeing the ads for Envy and like thinking that's got to be the worst comedy of all time. I watched it on Comedy Central one time and it was okay. Envy is Ben Stiller and Jack Black, and Jack Black invents a spray that disappears dog poop.
Hmm.
And Ben Stiller is envious of him and his success. And then like the whole bit is about like where does the dog poop go? And also like they have a running gag about everybody that's rich loves flan, like the dessert, flan, whatever. And that's like the whole movie. And then it's like Ben Stiller trying to like discredit his invention.
Isn't Rock the Casbah based off of some true story? I never saw it, but
I'm not sure.
Kind of flopped.
I didn't see it either.
Anywho, yeah, he's done a lot of biopics.
Yeah.
Certainly faltered as of late.
Yeah, Bill Murray, Rock the Casbah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh boy, I love Bill Murray. That was sarcastic if you couldn't tell.
Good. I do love Bill Murray, but I mean there isn't a lot over the past 30 years outside of a Wes Anderson movie that I've liked him in. I liked him in his Fairley Brothers stuff in the 90s. I guess Kingpin, is that the only Fairley Brother he's in? I think, yeah, probably. But back to Disclosure. This film stars Michael Douglas as Tom Sanders, Demi Moore as Meredith Johnson.
Demi Moore in her old face.
So
her former face makes an appearance in this movie.
I was going to say
completely different.
Yeah, she looks a little fat. Obviously, isn't the right word, but her face, because she's a very attractive, skinny woman, but her face looks
she's
a little
fuller faced.
Fuller faced in this one.
I didn't think so. I thought she's kind of ripped in this. She has really like toned arms.
Yeah.
I think she looks really good in this.
Right. Her body looks as good as it ever did. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But her face, seeing her face, I feel like it's different than even like a couple years later. Like she had something done, some kind of work done to thin out her face after this. And I'm used to seeing more thin-faced Demi Moore. And I had just seen her in I Love and I had just seen her in I Love Boosters. And obviously that's 30 years later. But like she doesn't look that much older, but like that's the face I'm used to seeing is the thinner, like she had the fat sucked out of her cheeks almost.
Mm-hmm. And then there was probably
You
needed
should
some
see how she
fillers
looks
after that.
today.
Yeah.
I mean, I just saw her, like, in a movie like 2 weeks ago.
I think
Um,
back in the 80s and early 90s, she looked a little more, I don't know if mousy's the right term, but homely or, girl next door, like her face, like attractive, cute, but I think she got some work done in the mid 90s. And to your point, Stan, I think she did really focus on fitness and muscle tone in the 90s. And then she did G.I. Jane just a couple years after this. Striptease was also 96. So also 2 years after this. Is G.I. Jane 96 or 97?
well, even I'm looking at some of her photos on IMDb. Like even in Ghost, she looks thinner in the face.
Well, Ghost was 1990.
So I don't know what was going on. Yeah, and that was earlier. So I don't know if she like put on a little weight or what happened. But
G.I.
I
Jane was
thought
97.
not, and to your point, like she doesn't look fat. Like she looks great, but there's just something, her face looks different in this.
Hmm. Maybe when she just started doing a lot of nudity, because was Indecent Proposal the first time she did nudity?
I don't know. I doubt it. I feel
I
like
don't
she would
know.
have been doing
Am I
nudity her whole career.
I haven't seen it.
she
I
nude
just
in Indecent
assume she's
Proposal?
nude. Maybe she's
I
not.
don't
I
think
haven't seen
she.
it.
I don't think she is.
Because
I don't remember.
striptease
It's
she
been
is,
too
of
long since
course.
I've seen it.
But we were going over the cast. It does have some heavy hitters in the cast,
Hmm.
even in smaller supporting roles.
Yeah. Donald Sutherland plays Bob Garvin. Caroline Goodall plays Susan Hendler.
When I first saw Caroline Goodall, I thought, is that Susan from Seinfeld?
Is it?
And I don't think it is, but it was ironic that her name also is Susan
Hmm.
because they both had the short and sassy haircut.
Yeah. Roma Mafia was Catherine Alvarez. Dylan Baker played Philip Blackburn. Dennis Miller, I was pleasantly surprised to see him. He played Mark Lewin.
Basically playing himself, and he clearly wrote
Right.
all his own dialogue.
Or improvised it, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was definitely from him.
Rosemary Forsyth played Stephanie Kaplan. Nicholas Sadler was Don Cherry.
Now Nicholas Sadler. Guess where he was born? Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah?
Really? He's one of our own, and I didn't even know.
One of us.
He plays the nerdy member of the team who's kind of like a Michael J. Pollard type, with kind
Mhm.
of like the blonde mop top haircut.
Yeah, I think I looked it up while watching this because I had recognized him mostly from Scent of a Woman and some other 90s ones like Twister. But I was like, oh, yeah, he's in Scent of a Woman and a couple. I know that face. And I looked it up. I'm like, Minneapolis? No idea.
I didn't either. He was like the young hotshot in Disclosure. He was like the prodigy.
He's in one of Brett's favorites, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Credited
plays-
as Suicide.
Yeah, he plays Suicide. The movie's hilarious. That's going to be my next recommendation.
Okay.
Maybe. I
Is
don't know.
that Kino? That release?
Yeah, it's probably Kino.
Okay. Anyone else in the cast you want to discuss? I don't think I
Yes.
recognize anyone else. Go for it.
Yes. For Star Trek fans, Susie Plaxton plays Marianne Hunter. She's the one female member of Michael Douglas's team. She played on Star Trek: The Next Generation. She played Kalar, who was Worf's love interest in several episodes.
Okay.
And then Jacqueline Kim plays Cindy Chang, and she is Michael Douglas's secretary. She played Demora Sulu in Star Trek Generations, the daughter of Sulu. And of course, there's Donald Logue is in the movie too as a smaller supporting role. That's it.
Yeah, he was in everything back then.
Yeah.
Who played the attorney for Demi Moore's character? Do we know him?
Alan Rich, who I recognized him. He's in quite a few movies. He's Alan Naiman from Highlander 2: The Quickening. So that's what I mainly know Alan Rich from. He's Duncan MacLeod's friend, Alan Naiman. And And he's also in a few movies like he's in The Gambler and The Frisco Kid, and he's had a nice little career.
Oh, you know what I know him from is Curb Your Enthusiasm, the episode The Survivor, where Larry's rabbi says, we're gonna have a dinner and I'm gonna bring a survivor with me. And so Larry brings this Solly, who is a Holocaust survivor. So he's like, yeah, he's my dad's friend. You know, he doesn't get out much. It'd be nice to get him out here and meet another survivor. And the rabbi brings a guy from the TV series, Survivor, and then they argue about who had it worse. It's a very funny episode. But I probably remember him from that the most. But I thought he was great in Disclosure also. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. The tactics he uses during the mediation.
And the way he delivers some of like the frank sexual dialogue is very funny.
Synopsis for Disclosure. A computer specialist is sued for sexual harassment by a former lover turned boss who initiated the act forcefully, which threatens both his career and his personal life. So where shall we start with Disclosure?
Well, we open on the movie with some really nice music. Actually, the music in this movie is composed by Ennio Morricone, so that's a pretty huge get for this movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he's always
And
good.
we open on sort of like a bucolic, beautiful family life in a beautiful home, and Michael Douglas and his wife, they're trying to wrangle their unruly child because it's the morning and they're all trying to get ready for work.
Mm-hmm.
And they live in an island in the Seattle area, and what I thought it seems quite an inconvenient for Michael Douglas' existence, because so every morning he has to get up and his wife drives him to a ferry that takes him into Seattle. It seems like such a huge hassle.
Yeah, they live on the other side of the O'Haras, if you recall from Another Stakeout.
All right.
Okay. So maybe he knows Chris Leachy.
Because it was funny because this is the third Seattle film we've discussed this in the past couple of months. Because we had Air Bud, Another Stakeout, and now Disclosure.
Yeah.
And technically, we talked about the first Stakeout, which is also Seattle. We didn't have an episode dedicated to it, but we've had a lot of Seattle-based stuff. And in Another Stakeout, they take the ferry to this island to go and stake out the O'Hara's house. So apparently, they live right next to Tom Sanders. Is that his name, right? Tom Sanders.
Yeah.
It was probably his cat. His cat was the one that got out.
This would have been filmed about the same year. It's a year apart.
We'll have to check the trivia to see if the ferry is accurate to real life. Because in Another Stakeout, that was one of the trivias, that the ferry was the wrong color and therefore not the real.
Oh, right. They go on the
ferry.
ferry. They go on the ferry in Another Stakeout too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is the same universe as Disclosure. Chris Leachy and Tom Sanders they had to have crossed paths at some point. If he's going on the ferry every morning to get to work, that day in Another Stakeout, when Chris Leachy goes on to the ferry, Tom Sanders was probably there off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should watch Disclosure again to see if we can see Emilio in the background, the ferry scene. But now I just was reminded by Brett here of that. That was actually probably an out of commission ferry because the color was wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember what color the ferry was in Disclosure, but the one in Another Stakeout was, I think it was green, and like the ferries have been red since the 50s or something.
Yeah.
Well, so the first thing you see in the movie is Tom Sanders' like email account open on his computer, and his daughter is reading like his confidential corporate email. So he could be fired for that. That's privileged information. That's privileged Digicom intellectual property that he's just like leaving open. He didn't lock his computer. He didn't turn the monitor off. He didn't log out of his email. He just leaves it open for anyone to come by and read, obviously.
Why does he even have access at home? Why does he need home access to his work emails?
I
Like,
don't know, but
do they not care about data security?
he's the head of manufacturing, so he probably needs to be able he probably needs to be available 24/7, I would think.
Needs his own server. Like
You're right,
Hillary.
because they had operations in Singapore.
And Malaysia.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So they work off hours, I'm sure. So he's going to be available at, midnight, 2 a.m., whatever it may be.
Yeah, so when his wife is driving him to the pier in the morning, he takes a phone call on his phone. And this is kind of a blink and you'll miss it thing, but it's important. His phone has the Digicom ID on the phone. So like in this movie, Digicom is probably like one of the biggest corporations in the whole world. They make phones, they make computer components, everything. So this is my point is disclose it's like unspoken, but Disclosure is kind of like a cyberpunk movie. It's kind of like a light cyberpunk movie because it deals with corporations, like corporation takeovers and mergers, but also like VR and cyberspace and like the world of high tech. So really it's kind of an unspoken cyberpunk genre movie. Even though it doesn't have like overt trappings of it, it kind of is.
Yeah, you had described it to me a little bit via message DMs on Twitter, and I kind of got the sense that it was like a very heavily a sci-fi film. So when it starts out like this, I was like, "Huh, man, I guess it's a little more run of the mill." But by the end, it's it's like the Lawnmower Man. He's putting on the virtual reality goggles and he's
And we'd
exploring the
expect nothing
virtual
less
world.
because this is Michael Crichton and he's always been on the cutting edge of whatever's coming out.
Especially in the 90s, he was all the rage. Everyone wanted to adapt his work.
Especially this is 1 year after Jurassic Park.
And 1 year before Congo, right? Didn't he do Congo? Or
Yeah.
Right Congo, I should say.
I feel like Michael Crichton wrote like hundreds of things that turned into movies.
Yeah, Westworld in the late 70s. He directed that too, didn't he?
Well, he did direct it, but it's not based on a book.
Oh, really?
He just directed it.
Okay. My mistake.
But so they're going to the ferry in the morning and I guess they're running late because this part is so stupid. So they get to the dock where the ferry is and they're like about the ferry's about to take off. And like you see Michael Douglas like running to get onto the ferry before they close the I don't know what you call it, the gangway or the gangplank or whatever it is. So he runs on there in the last second and you see everybody up on the upper deck of the ferry. They're like cheering for him. They're like, yay, yay, yay. And like Michael Douglas is like pumping his fists as he like runs on. It's like, it's so dumb.
Like they were waiting for him. It was like, we can't leave without Tom.
We can't leave.
He was talking to his wife, right? And he was just making everyone wait.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that his wife was driving the car because I thought, well, clearly he's not harassing any women because he's not the man of the house.
Well, she has to drop him off and drive him back. He's not going to drive the car onto the ferry as you could do, but
they should get another car. He's fucking about to be a millionaire. 100 million.
He's probably making very good money. It's not spoken about in the movie, but we can assume it's very lucrative.
Well, they have a conversation about how the deal's going to go through, and we're rich, but now we're going to be really rich.
Yeah. Well, it was Donald
really
Sutherland was going to make 100 million, but when they are going to settle at the end, they're offering him $100,000 was the settlement.
And that's not even minus attorney fees.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's going to end up with like 50,000 or less or something around there.
I mean, even if they, it was
so it's not that great of a victory.
Yeah. Even if it was left unsaid, like the attorney fees aren't included or, they're going to take care of that as well. Even if he does get a full 100,000, I was like, really? Just 100,000?
No, Catherine Alvarez is his attorney. She's going to take a chunk of that.
Yeah.
Probably.
But sometimes in movies, they expect the audience just to assume that he's going to get all of the settlement, and then the attorney fees are also going to be in addition to that. But
But I have to assume, given what so let's imagine what he's making at Digicom, $100,000 more. I don't think is going to be that big of a drop in the bucket for him.
Right, exactly. So that's why I was kind of confused. I'm thinking, like, isn't that like a year's salary for him?
Maybe
It's probably
maybe
6 months or less even.
He's an executive at this.
He's the head of manufacturing. That has
Did you
to
see
be
the size of his fucking office?
and his house.
He has a team.
Holy
He has a whole
shit.
team working for him
He's got a personal secretary.
that he slaps on the ass.
Occasionally rubs her shoulders.
Hey, and you get the idea very early on, like the wife, Susan, Tom Sanders' wife, she seems kind of like long suffering, and she seems like she's been through hell in that marriage. And then you learn later that Michael Douglas, even before the events of the movie, he was like quite a philanderer.
Yeah.
And there's even someone I think it's Susan, she makes some kind of line about he's been through every woman in the phone book, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Miller makes a bunch of comments about that.
Yeah. Oh,
he's seen more ass than a rental car.
Yeah, you have to assume that was like that line was added due to Michael Douglas's request for his own ego. Like you've seen more ass than a rental car.
It's kind of implied that it was before he was married. Like once he got married, like he stopped, but like it was like a revolving door before then.
Mm-hmm.
Is the implication? Because he's got to be like 50. I mean, he's pretty old. They got young kids, but his wife looks quite a bit younger than him.
And it's an extension of Michael Douglas's real life, because Michael Douglas ate so much pussy he got throat cancer.
Mm-hmm.
This is true, and it wasn't his wife's.
No.
Well,
how do you know it wasn't Catherine Zeta-Jones?
I thought he blamed it. I thought he blamed it
one
on
of
her.
many. One of many, I'm sure.
Have you seen the video, the recent video of Michael Douglas eating a clam?
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the biggest clam in the entire world. And he like sucks the clam up into his mouth, and it with this really like gross, like slurping sound. Maybe you can edit that into this, but I think it should be seen. It's really nasty.
The biggest oyster I have ever seen.
Please no.
So he's had more than a few clams, is what
Yeah.
he's eaten more than a few clams, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that. Was that on the Ant-Man 3 press tour?
No, it was on his Instagram.
Yeah, he's.
No, why would he put that on his Instagram? He knows what he's doing.
It was an invitation. Okay, but then he's on the ferry going to work, and
Well, there's a guy on the ferry who's like perpetually unemployed who he sits and talks to apparently every day.
well, yeah, that's what I was going to mention. He's like this guy who's like on a job search, but more than that, it was like this is an era where people actually used to talk to each other on public transportation.
Mhm.
Now you're afraid of like getting attacked, and you mind your own business. Not that I haven't rode public transportation since I took the bus to high school, but we all know that public transportation these days is somewhat of a dangerous proposition. But back then, if you were on public transportation, whether it was a ferry or like a subway train, people who saw each other there every day, they would talk to each other and get to know each other, even if they didn't, work together, but they would see each other on these modes of transportation every day, and they would talk. And we don't have that anymore. So this scene is kind of like a time capsule to better days of 1994.
That notion of friendly bums, for lack of a better word, was really reinforced in the 90s, specifically with New York productions because of that Radio Man guy. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Radio Man is a very famous extra. He's been in probably over 200 200 movies.
Oh, yeah,
as an
yeah, yeah, I know
extra.
who
He's
he
the
is.
homeless guy who carries a radio around his neck or with him everywhere he goes. I actually noticed him again he's in any 90s New York production, he's in it basically. And even into the 2000s, he started doing I don't know if it's Instagram or TikTok, but I've seen little reels of him over the past year or two where he talks about the movies he's been on and this and that. Like, I don't know if he's still doing cameos as extras, but I remember watching Don't Say a Word, another Michael Douglas movie, last fall. Do you guys remember Don't Say a Word?
Was
It was
that
with
was that
Brittany
with Brittany
Murphy.
Murphy?
Yeah. I'll never tell. Yeah. I think it's from 2002. And I picked it straight away. There's a scene of him just walking down the street. I think he just got done with work. And there's a magazine stand. And there was maybe some sort of hot dog stand or something. And Radio Man was there. Like the kid, it's a long shot. You're not close up at all. But it was such a pointless scene. It just shows Michael Douglas kind of walking down the street, and Radio Man is faced away from him. Douglas walks up behind him. He's wearing earphones, and he lifts up his earphones just to say hi or mention something in his ear. And then he continues walking. Like, you don't even hear what he says. But they have this whole scene in the movie just because it's fucking Radio Man. You can't tell it's Radio Man unless you know who Radio Man is. So it's so weird that these New York productions used to waste film and scenes of just putting him in the movie just because he became that famous, I guess. He became like an extra, an institution for extras, I guess. Or if you're in New York, you're filming in New York, he's got to be in your movie. You got to have a scene where you interact with him somehow. And it would be the homeless guy that you could talk to. There's a lot of photos of him on the Fisher King set, which kind of fits because it's like, well, Robin Williams plays a crazy homeless man. So, hey, I got a really good extra that can be in every scene because he's not gonna, wreck the joint. He's not gonna cause a ruckus. He won't fuck things up. We got a real pro here. This homeless guy that has a big radio around his neck. But
I just looked him up, and he's still active.
Okay.
He's in The Punisher: One Last Kill. He's in The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Okay.
He was in Caught Stealing. He was in Happy Gilmore 2. He was in Jurassic World Rebirth. He was in Spike Lee's Highest to Lowest. He was in the Penguin miniseries.
Jurassic Park. What did they film in New York? I didn't see the movie.
The beginning. They have like a museum out there.
Okay.
It starts in New York. Like the dinosaurs are out and about, and everybody's super bored with them.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't give a shit. He was in Killers of the Flower Moon. I don't know who the fuck he played in that, but
but yeah, he would have been a luminary from Scorsese's New York films.
And that's
how many credits does he have?
82 plus 5 upcoming. So
I thought it was in the hundreds. Maybe because some of them are, non-speaking extra roles. Maybe they're not credited.
Well, I mean, there's a bunch that are listed as uncredited, but
is there a number?
I don't know if there's other ones where he's just in there.
Yeah,
like
I think it is something around 200 or so that he's in, not necessarily featured in all of them, but he's in. But yeah, that was back when the bums, they weren't on meth or PCP or whatever. They were just lazy. Misunderstood. They needed someone to talk to, right?
But this guy on the ferry is not a bum. He was laid off. He says he was laid off from IBM. And so I guess he's like riding the
if you don't
ferry
have a
back and
job
forth.
or permanent residence.
So you decided to be a bum.
I'll just be Jules, Vincent. No more, no less.
No, Jules, you decided to be a bum. Just like all those pieces of shit out there who beg for change, who sleep in garbage bins, eat what I throw away. They got a name for that, Jules. It's called a bum. And without a job, a residence, or legal tender, that's what you're gonna be, man. You're gonna be a fucking bum.
Look, my friend, this is just where you and I differ.
Got some coffee.
Well, it's like he just goes out because his wife doesn't know he's out of a job or something like that, like, or he's doing a job search or whatever. He said, "I was surplused." If they wanted to euphemism, they should have said sodomized.
Yes.
Smarter, better, faster, cheaper. Smarter, better, faster, cheaper. Which you still hear around the office to this day. Like that's still the mantra. Although I think they dropped smarter. I think it's just better, faster, cheaper now.
Efficiency.
Or maybe just faster, cheaper. Just faster, cheaper now.
Bring in the efficiency experts.
They got rid of the better and the smarter.
All right. So are we up to Digicom? Are we at the Digicom offices yet?
Yes, this is where we see the offices for the first time.
We meet his crew, Dennis Miller included, and Nick Sadler. Was it Nick Sadler?
Nick Sadler, who plays Don Cherry, noted hockey analyst Don Cherry.
But first we meet Dylan Baker, who is I don't remember
Blackburn,
what his
Philip
position is
Blackburn.
relative to. I don't remember what his position is relative to Tom Sanders, but
it's implied that he's either HR or legal.
He's a power broker within the company.
Because they always send him in to deliver bad news. And so he kind of feels Tom Sanders out, and because he's up for a promotion. He thinks he's going to be named vice president. And Tom says to Philip, you've heard anything about me? He's like, no, I think it's all good. Well, I heard you might be getting passed up. So, be ready for that.
And Tom is really stressing about this. So then Dylan Baker, he asks him, "You got to be okay? You want a Prozac?" Which is like that was like pretty new at the time. So that was like a kind of like a propaganda moment, like advertising for big pharma.
Right.
A pill for every ill.
Which I think that was kind of common back then. Like they were really pushing that in movies and TV shows, where it's like just pop a Xanny or a Prozac.
Prozac.
Yeah, it seemed like Prozac lasted throughout the 90s into the aughts. And then I think it switched to
remember
Xanax was the one of choice.
I think they just renamed one of those, didn't they? Like it's the same thing, but they call it something different now. Like they call it by the chemical name or whatever.
Ketamine?
Remember on The Simpsons where they had chewable Prozac?
I don't think I remember that one.
I'm sure they did.
Okay, but then we meet Michael Douglas's team, who is it's Don Cherry, Dennis Miller, I forget what his name was, and Mary Ann, who is played by Susie Plaxon. And this kind of sets the tone for the rest of the movie because they're speaking the way they relate to each other. It's very like casual and kind of like inappropriate, the things they're talking about.
Boys will be boys, but there's women present. They're the women who are kind of participating as well.
Yes, the woman, she seems to give as good as she gets, and she holds her own. But it does kind of set up like the dynamic of the movie.
When he slaps her on the ass, his secretary, he got a big laugh out of me. The wife was like, "Oh, I guess it's the '90s," And I was just assuming that it was setting up okay, this is a movie about sexual harassment, so we're going to explore the boundaries here. I guess I didn't really think of it that, oh yeah, that would come into play in deposition. They might depose your secretary. They might ask her about your character and whatnot. And I was like, oh, that plays into there was a lot of things that I didn't think was going to matter later on in the film in regards to the plot, but this did.
It was more of an attaboy slap than anything else.
Yeah.
Like he was holding a folder.
And yes, and anyways, it was like a playful thing. It's not like I didn't get the impression that like Michael Douglas actually wants to like screw her.
Right.
No,
because she's not good looking enough for Michael Douglas.
Well, also he's a happily married man, who lets his wife drive him to work or to the ferry anyways.
How else is he supposed to get to the ferry if he has to go to the work if she doesn't drive?
Well, you should buy a second car.
But where's he going to put the car?
Well, you can put the car on the ferry.
That's even more inconvenient than just taking the ferry because you have to drive onto the ferry. Then when you get to Seattle, you have to get the car, drive it off the ferry, find a parking spot.
You would assume Digicom would have their own ramp, with their own
something
passes.
Car service or something.
Digicom is probably subsidizing or just paying for the ferry pass, I assume.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Tom goes to meet with Bob Garvin about his being passed over for the promotion, and Demi Moore, Meredith Johnson, is sitting in the office.
I gotta find this fucking Demi Moore thing. Maybe we should play it because that's eating at me.
I didn't see a video. It was just a written article.
Let's see.
But anyway, so he
go ahead.
Yeah, Tom wants to complain about not getting the promotion, and Bob has seen this coming, and he says, "Let me introduce you to Meredith. She saved the merger. She's getting the promotion. What is it you want to talk about, Tom?" And he basically shuts him down right then and there. And Tom is just kind of neutered in the moment. He doesn't know how to react, and he kind of just goes back to his desk and pouts.
Meredith fucking Johnson, son of a bitch. Goddamn Garvin.
What happened?
I didn't get it.
What? You're not the new VP?
No.
He announced it?
It was some kind of secret. Meanwhile, he's got her installed up there in the office. They're bouncing back and forth like it's a fucking Tonight Show.
Who?
Meredith Johnson.
Who's Meredith Johnson? This isn't going to affect the spinoff.
This is a technical division. She doesn't know the difference between a software and a cashmere sweater.
Hey, come on now. What aren't you telling us?
Hey, I might be out of a job, Lou, and how about that? Is that enough? You know what it's like out there?
He did say something about the spinoff.
They didn't tell me about me. You think they're going to tell me about the goddamn spinoff? This is the worst day of my life, all right?
Well, who is she? Hey, let me guess. She's attractive?
What does that have to do with anything?
Great rack, nipples like pencil erasers?
She's attractive, yeah, she's very attractive.
You think she's sleeping with Garvin?
Oh, that's why he bought the Nordic track.
You know, it's a curse to be me. Life holds no surprises.
This is such a cliche.
Oh, come on, Hunter. How do you think a cliche becomes a cliche?
You mean size doesn't matter?
I have such a thing for you, Hunter.
Well, he wasn't expecting to run into Meredith, and in this scene, it's obvious that they have some kind of past.
Right. Yeah. He's like, you know Meredith. You guys used to go together.
And there might be the implication that Meredith may be sleeping with Sutherland.
Yes.
It's not. I don't know if it's even implied, but maybe that's kind of the impression I got.
I did too. I thought there was definitely something going on there. You find out that everything that happens was kind of orchestrated. Like it was a conspiracy against Tom, the entire time. Although it's a very kind of outrageous conspiracy, given all the things that they did, just to try to blame him for the Archimex not being ready to go, and then outing him as the problem after the merger. But it was definitely I thought there was some kind of thing going on between Garvin and Meredith.
Yeah, I'm reading an article here. She says herself, and they spell it out, phonetically. DUH-MEE. Dummy.
I'll spell it for you. DUMMY, period.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the tweet that I had about it.
I assume she would, if we heard her say it, there would be more of a space. Dummy, but it sounds dummy when it's dummy when you say it faster. I assume she pronounces it a little slower, as in dummy, because she says it's pronounced DUHMEE, not DEHMEE, not demi. It's dummy, dummy more.
Sanford and Son, or if you look on YouTube for Sanford and Son Dummy compilation of him saying dummy, and that's the first one, as he goes, "Here's dummy."
Here's dummy.
And you got to have the sound drop "Shut Up, Dummy" from Sanford and Sons.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up, dummy. Pop. Shut up, dummy. You know, for a dummy, you make a lot of sense. For a dummy, you catch on fast. I'm proud of you, dummy.
All right, so Tom Sanders gets an inkling that he might be getting the shaft, and we've seen a glimpse of Dummy
Dummy! Dummy!
in the waiting room, or she goes up the stairs in front of him. He kind of checks out her ass and smiles, and then keeps walking. I don't think he knows it's her at the time, but maybe he's thinking that's a familiar ass. But
I know that tush anywhere.
But they keep her face hidden for a little while.
It's from Curb Your Enthusiasm. It was from Curb Your Enthusiasm. I know that tush anywhere. He's talking about Wanda Sykes. Yeah, Dennis Miller sees her and he goes, "She's got a great rack, nipples like pencil erasers."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like he was gonna get the roles that brain fart. He's in Beverly Hills Cop and Aliens.
Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser. It seems like he was gonna get the Paul Reiser roles from the 80s that, in the 90s. But I don't recall that many movies of Dennis Miller. He never really Dennis Leary got some in the early 90s in a Demolition Man and whatnot. He even does his MTV stuff in Demolition Man to a certain extent, and then in Natural Born Killers. But Dennis Miller didn't get as much film time as I thought he would. Isn't he in? Is he in Enemy of the State? That's like
He's
a
in
Dennis
The
Miller.
Net.
The Net.
The Net. Tales from the Crypt, Bordello, Blood.
He's in The Net. Never Talk to Strangers. Bordello, Blood. Murder at 1600. And then Joe Dirt was probably his most prominent role. But that was 2001.
Right.
He did a few TV appearances, but only a handful of movies. I forgot that he was on Monday Night Football for a while.
I was rewatching some of his appearances about a month or two ago. One of those, YouTube docs about, can you believe they had Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football? What a disaster it was, even though it wasn't that much of a disaster, but yeah, it wasn't great. He's someone that I probably didn't appreciate at the time, especially with his brand of comedy. 12-year-olds aren't going to get any of his references.
Well, isn't that a Daniel Tosh bit where he I just make it more and more obscure? We call that the Dennis Miller ratio.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Till only one person gets it.
Right. So I'm kind of appreciating him more and more, although it's not like I'm rewatching all of his old stand-up sets and whatnot. But yeah, he's someone I could see myself going down a rabbit hole in the future. All right, so where do we get to next?
Well, then Meredith proposes to Tom that they meet late at night at the office when no one else is there in like her private. I don't know what this room. I guess this is her offe, but it's
guest
huge.
office.
It's like an
that
apartment.
Moved her into, yeah.
It's like an apartment, size wise, and so they meet there to have a bottle of wine and I guess talk business. And I guess if you're a married man, you're not gonna. If you're, why would you do this as a married man? Is what I'm trying to say. But then Michael Douglas apparently has no problem with it, so he goes to see her in the middle of the night at the Digicom offices.
Mm-hmm.
And so the conversation gets more and more sexually charged until Meredith asks Tom to rub her shoulders as they're talking business,
Mm-hmm.
which he agrees to without reservation. And then that immediately segues into like the encounter that's like the center of the movie where they're like kissing and rubbing each other and like he's like about to like eat her pussy and like
rips off her panties.
The dialogue is very frank, very sexual in this scene.
Mhm.
The things that they're saying to each other, and she even puts his penis into her mouth.
Yes.
But like she puts his penis in his mouth and he's like reacting like no like he's being like electrocuted. Like he's like actively like resisting. and then they're about to have sex, and like he's on top of her, but then he like catches a glimpse of himself in a reflection on a picture on the wall, and he's like, "What are we doing?" Like, I guess he looks like a monster. Like he has this like crazed look in his eyes. He's like, "What are we doing here?" And so he stops, but she's expecting to get laid, and she's quite aggressive and angry about this that she stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael Douglas says one of my favorite lines of the whole movie. He says, "You take those 2 champagne bottles in the refrigerator and you go fuck them." And then he leaves. But then Demi Moore storms out after him. Is like, "You get back here and finish what you started."
You big cold-blooded dummy.
Half
In her like
naked, she runs
blouse,
out.
her blouse is open
Yeah.
and her like bosoms are like bulging and hanging out. And like she runs out into like the foyer of the office. And Tom is gone, but like the old Asian cleaning lady's there, and she sees Meredith up there, and she just like shakes her head at her.
Yeah, and then she gets back to cleaning.
And then that's the end of like their encounter. That's like the centerpiece of the whole movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I was expecting that cleaning lady to provide a little more evidence to the events.
Yeah, she's not when they have mediation throughout the rest of the movie, we don't hear from her again, even though she was like a witness to Demi Moore storming out of the office, yelling at Tom with her bosoms hanging out.
Dummy.
Don't they mention
Didn't they
something
send her
about
on vacation or something?
Yeah, like they couldn't get a hold of her. I don't know if they were. I thought initially like, oh, did they silence her? Did they, did they disappear her? But they never follow up with that. They just said like, oh, she's on vacation or nobody can get a hold of her. And then it was like, okay, I guess we'll quit following up on that.
I'd be curious to read the novel someday to see if there's any added detail. I've never read the Disclosure by Michael Crichton.
Every day I see you reading. What's with this reading? Some guy makes up some story? Fuck him. It's a waste of time.
I did like, so when they first start the meeting, she's like, "Show me your family. I want to see pictures." He starts showing him his kids and then his wife, and she goes, "Wow, she looks like she always has food in the refrigerator." And
yeah, that's pretty rude. That's pretty like a backhanded compliment.
And Tom's like, "Well, she's still got the baby weight, she's still working it off." And she uses that against him in the mediation. Like, well, he wasn't happy at home. He said his wife was fat, and so he was looking for it elsewhere. And then like her secretary pops in for a second, and when she leaves, she locks them in. She locks the door. Although when he goes out, the door's unlocked. So
yeah, you're talking about Meredith's secretary, not Tom's secretary.
Yes, Meredith's secretary, who's an elder woman.
They seem to have a pretty close relationship for it being their first day together, supposedly. Because like,
they've had a past. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Because they're talking.
Secretary.
They seem very familiar. She seemed very familiar with her secretary. At least she acted and spoke to her in a very familiar way. And I was like, what?
Well, I think she's been with the company for a while, but she just got promoted, so she might have brought the secretary with her.
I guess that's possible.
Also,
I don't know. Do you do
that?
Do you move secretaries across the country?
I don't think so.
I think sometimes if you have an attachment, Of course, I'm not on that level, so I don't know from personal experience.
I didn't get the impression that she was being like that over familiar with her secretary. The secretary comes in, she asks, can she forward the calls and can she go home? And she says, that's fine.
I think the secretary was in on the conspiracy because she had to get the wine weeks ahead of time because there wasn't any within 500 miles of the Seattle area.
Right. That should have been something the lawyers are like, oh, what do you mean weeks at a time? This woman you've never met, you asked her to get a bottle of wine weeks ago. You knew you were going to get this promotion, this and that. Some holes there, but yeah, not a big deal.
Her office is under construction, which was a very common thing. Like in the 80s and 90s, you always had one office floor that was under construction.
Mm-hmm. It started with Die Hard in 88, and then it didn't stop until
till 9/11.
Then things were under construction again.
I don't know if it started with Die Hard, but it seemed like there was like every movie that's set in an office building, there was one floor that was under construction always.
Yeah.
I did like when I wrote this line down. I can't remember. It was before the encounter. They must have been talking about the VR stuff, but I can't remember for sure. But they're doing a presentation about like the future of the company, and they're talking about freedom from the physical body, freedom from race and gender, freedom from nationalities and personality, from place and time. Oh, it was like the metaverse. They were suggesting a version of the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're demonstrating like a virtual world where you have an avatar that can like wander around, and but it's like a prototype, and it's not at this point. It's not meant for public use. It's just for like the demonstration.
Yeah, and you know what? The line wasn't necessarily about the VR. It was just about the future of the internet in general and computers in general, because everybody would communicate online. So you wouldn't have any race or gender or nationality or personality or place or time. Everybody would just be in the internet together at the same time. And that's how everybody would communicate, which they got about half of that right. Everybody is on the internet now. The other stuff, they were way off.
Well, Michael Crichton's usually on the ball, but like then there's also people who say, "Oh, well, if you're going to talk shit on the internet, you need to be able to use your real name so we can see who you are." So much for being free of identity and race and gender and
Right, it's gone completely the other direction. Whereas like now we have more race and more gender and more nationalities.
And you have to verify yourself. You have to verify your identity to participate in many websites,
which is ridiculous to me. Because when I was a kid in the 90s and we were first introduced to the internet, the first lesson was never give out your real name, your age, your location, or like any personal information whatsoever that could identify you, because people will use it against you. And within 5 years, like everything had reversed to put your full government name out there, put your picture out there, put your location where you are at all times, tell everybody what you're doing at all times. And now it's like you can't not have all your personal information out there, even if you don't want to.
So in those days of the internet, it was you were truly anonymous.
Yes.
Yeah, Brett, it seems like you really took that to heart, because you still will not disclose your full name on the podcast. No. We did promise listeners that secrets will be revealed. So,
well, that one won't be. But like if you want to do online shopping, like you guys sign up for like banking, or like my apartment has a residence portal. You got to put your information in there too, and like impossible to not have your name on the internet in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
The free internet has become the Matrix.
Yes.
And this is one reason. This is also why Disclosure is a cyberpunk movie.
Yeah. What are some of the other cyberpunk movies of the 90s? We have Hackers would be
Johnny
one.
Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic. Lawnmower Man, would that qualify? I haven't seen Lawnmower Man, so I'm not 100%
New
sure.
Rose Hotel.
Okay, is that with
Abel Ferrara?
Abel Ferrara, but isn't Argento's
Christopher
daughter
Walken,
in it?
I
Is
think.
Argento's daughter in it? What's her name again?
Asia.
Asia. Thank you.
You mean Anthony Bourdain's ex-girlfriend?
Mm-hmm. The one that
Anthony Bourdain had such a great life that when his girlfriend told him to kill himself, he did.
The one that didn't she was also caught was it like statutory rape situation where she was with an underage boy? There's a picture of her in bed with a 17, 18-year-old kid or something. Because I think she got canceled right around the time of Bourdain's death. I forget if it was before or after.
Yes. Strange Days is another cyberpunk punk movie.
Okay.
There's not a lot.
Speaking of female rapists, so Dummy
La dee dee, they la dee dum is dummy.
mouth rapes Michael Douglas. She forces
Yes.
his
Mhm.
member
And she-
into her mouth. This
And
was
he resists with every inch of his being.
not enough inches, but this was what? This is 1 year after The Rookie. Let's see.
I think so.
And The Rookie was 90. Okay, that's 1990. So it was 4 years after The Rookie, where Clint Eastwood was himself a victim of rape by God, what's her name? Wasn't she in Kiss of the Spider Woman? Also with Raul Julia?
Sonia Braga.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Sonia Braga.
Her daughter was the Queen of the South, I think.
What? What?
Wasn't her daughter the Queen of the South on USA Networks?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's who's the who am I thinking of? No, they appear to not be related.
Is there another
Alice Braga.
Is there another non-prison movie from the early 90s where a man gets raped that I'm not thinking of? Trying to see if there's a trend.
I
don't think two movies makes a trend, but it almost should with the two actors, stars, if you will, that get raped. You can't get much bigger at the time than Clint Eastwood and Michael Douglas, especially off the heels of Basic Instinct for Douglas and Fatal Attraction, of course, and Black Rain.
Yeah, Douglas had kind of a niche carved out for this type of movie in the early 90s.
Can rape the willing. And his reputation was definitely that of a willing. Well, I mean, plus there is a part of the encounter where he does kind of take charge. He does kind of throw her on the desk.
Because he's
and
like
rips her
saying,
panties off.
and he's saying like, "You want to get fucked? You want to get fucked?"
Right. Well, he kind of, gets into it. He's like, I shouldn't do this. I don't want to do this because, I have my wife and whatever. And then like he starts getting into it. And he kind of comes to his senses, like Stan said. He sees his reflection and he's like, what am I doing? I've got 2 kids and a wife at home. I can't be doing this. I'm a good guy. And really, other than, being tempted, he is a pretty good guy throughout the movie. He's kind of upstanding, member of the company. And, he's nice to his wife mostly until this happens and he starts lying by omission. He goes home and he's got scratches on his chest that he tries to cover up. He puts a t-shirt on and his wife's like, why are you wearing a t-shirt? You never wear a t-shirt. It almost blows his cover right there.
Stan, did you listen to Come Town podcast?
A long time ago. I don't really remember.
Okay. Nick Mullen used to do a great impression of Michael Douglas. I'm sure he still does, but he used to do it on his show, Come Town. And they had this ongoing bit about gay actor Michael Douglas. He used to introduce himself as gay actor Michael Douglas, and they would just play with that and all of his roles in erotic thrillers. And so there was so many great lines. It's worth checking out too. I don't want to play I'd play movie drops in here, but I don't want to play other podcast drops. So I probably won't put any in here, but it's worth seeking out. It's pretty funny. But yeah, a lot of it could just be dialogue from from this scene. But he's kind of, as you kind of alluded to earlier, he's kind of like this. This was his thing, the erotic thriller. So 94 was the late stage erotic thriller because he did Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction. Wasn't there another one he did that was sexy or something? God, we should have looked at his filmography.
I'm thinking.
Let me look and see if I can find it. Let's see. So you did Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct, Disclosure.
So nothing else sexy in the late 80s?
No.
I mean,
Nice.
not that I haven't seen a lot of these, but I don't know that any of these are that type of movie.
I mean, 2 is enough by this. I mean, this would make his third in a span of 6 years. I think Fatal Attraction is 88.
87.
87. Okay, so span of 7 years, 3 big ones, because the first 2 were huge. This is probably the lesser known of the 3, I would say. Basic Instinct being the bona fide smash hit, the one everyone talked about, and
Yeah.
to a larger extent, kind of the more talked about movies of that subgenre of the late 80s and early 90s of that erotic thriller. I know, Stan, you're into a lot of those. I know you like Unlawful Entry quite a bit,
Yeah.
but there was a ton of those movies around that time. What are some other ones?
Maybe Consenting Adults.
Consenting
maybe
Adults,
is an erotic thriller. There's a lot of straight to video ones that are decent.
Presumed Innocent with Harrison Ford. That was a erotic thriller, adult thriller.
I haven't seen that.
I saw that in high school in my criminology class. The teacher showed it in class. She said, "Don't tell anybody, because if the principal hears that I showed it to you, I can't show R-rated movies anymore." Because like we watched that and we watched Silence of the Lambs.
Mm.
I think what else? We watched The Italian Job. I think we watched Runaway Jury. We watched a bunch of movies in that class. It was kind of bullshit elective.
Mm.
I mean, we mentioned Indecent Proposal.
Right. No Way Out, I would say that's more of a general thriller, but there is some erotic elements. There's just sleazy elements to that. That was 87, I think.
I think so.
Oh, when was Postman Always Rings Twice, the remake?
It was like 80 or 82.
Okay. So that was in the Chinatown era, like the tail end of the Chinatown thriller era. Because Chinatown's about like 76, 74?
74 sounds right.
But yeah, late 80s, early 90s, there was so many erotic thrillers coming out.
Oh, I just remembered one that I really like. It's called Profile for Murder, starring Lance Henriksen and Joan Severance. It's good, but it's really uncomfortable because Lance Henriksen plays this like conniving philanthropist, and he has like 6 sex scenes. And seeing Lance Henriksen, it's like I imagine that what it must be like to walk in on your parents having sex. I never wanted to see Lance Henriksen have sex, but you do in this movie, and it's pretty entertaining.
Is it more or less comfortable than watching Tom Atkins in Halloween 3?
Oh, it's like it's close to that. I always think about that scene and doesn't he like suck on her nipple?
Oh,
or
yes.
something? So he sucks on her nipple. Cut, Tom. What did we tell you about sucking on her nipple? That we didn't talk about that.
It's like
Stick to the script.
I'm pretty sure you see him put the nipples in his mouth, suck, and then pull his mouth away, and I think her nipple has to pass through his teeth on the way out. That sort of a thing. It's like, Jesus, this is a major studio production here. This is Halloween 3. What are you doing?
This is why they have intimacy coordinators now.
Mm-hmm.
It's all because of Tom Atkins.
She was what, between 19 and 21 at the time, something like that. She was very young, and he was quote unquote only 42, 44, but he looks 52.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on kind of at least in my mind, the top 10 list of batshit crazy moments and sex scenes. I guess in terms of realism. Another one I would say is To Live and Die in L.A.
Yeah, when you see Scott Peterson's cock dangling.
Yeah, Bill Peterson. Yeah,
but he doesn't have a boner.
You're exactly right though, because it's you see the silhouette of his junk.
Yes,
and he is not soft.
His balls dangling in the moonlight.
Yeah, balls, and then a rod sticking out from the balls. He is not. It was not a You tell he was not flaccid during the scene.
Well, I told you in The Man Who Fell from Earth, there's a scene where Rip Torn is in bed with a woman and they're like both naked. And she starts handling his soft cock on screen. Like it's all in the movie, like in frame.
Well, the thing about the love scene in To Live and Die in L.A. is like when they were filming that love scene, William Friedkin personally offered to fluff up William Peterson with his mouth, but then William Peterson just said, "Don't worry, I'll be able to take care of this myself." So then, kind of William Peterson was kind of, or Bill Friedkin was then kind of dejected by that response, but he soldiered on, and they filmed that love scene. Luckily, he was able to go. Luckily, at the end of the day, he was able to go home to his Guatemalan houseboy Miguel, and achieve satisfaction in that way.
I may have been kicked out of all the clubs in New York, but here in LA, I'm still allowed in them.
The king of West Hollywood. I have to do an addendum to the William Friedkin video. Revelations of To Live and Die in LA. Well, that's still a movie I need to that's a stay tuned. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm sure I'll do that one day.
Well, yeah. So then back to Disclosure, right? We're talking about after the encounter, he's home with his wife, and she's like noticing that he's wearing a shirt to bed, and and he's never done that before, so he's trying to cover up the scratches. But then later that night, they're in bed, and he has a very curious nightmare. There's a very potent nightmare scene in this movie where it's the nightmare is he's at work, he's at the Digicom offices, and he gets into the elevator with Donald Sutherland. And in this nightmare, he's seduced by Donald Sutherland. And at the end of this dream, you like see him, Donald Sutherland, like close into him with like an open mouth and his tongue sticking out like a kiss.
Yeah.
And then you see Michael Douglas, like the camera pulls out and he's in bed and he wakes up screaming. He's like, yeah. But the funny thing about the scene is when the camera pulls out, his wife is right next to him sleeping, and his screaming didn't wake her up.
She's a sound sleeper. She's got nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But we also see the seeds being planted for the sabotage, because when he gets home, his wife says, well, Meredith Johnson called from the office, and she says your 8 o'clock meeting got moved to 8:30. So you don't have to come in till 8:30. She's like, well, who's Meredith Johnson? He says, well, I don't know her. She's, new at work. Nothing to say about her. She seems nice. Don't worry about it. Well, he gets in the next day and they're already in a meeting, and he finds out that the meeting started at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
And she lied to him about it. He gets called out for showing up late in front of everybody by Bob Garvin, Donald Sutherland's character. And after the meeting, he confronts Meredith about it, and she's got a great line. She goes, "If your wife can't take a fucking message, why don't you get an answering machine?"
Dummy.
And she says it with such vitriol too. Like, if your wife can't take a fucking message. I thought that was a hilarious line.
I know we've already met Donald Sutherland in the film, but we haven't discussed him yet. Because he goes to his office after this meeting, right? Or no? Misremembering.
Well, Tom meets with Phil, or Phil comes to meet with Tom.
Blackbird.
Yeah. And Phil says that Meredith reported him sexually harassing her. And Tom says, no, that's backwards. She harassed me. And Phil says, I never even heard of such a thing. A woman harassing a man? What an absurd claim. Who would even, think that was real? We should mention, too, he's been getting these anonymous emails from a friend about the whole thing. Actually, the first email he gets says, "Is your cock hard now?" Which is like right before he goes up for the meeting.
Yeah.
And then he the second one is a link to an article about a sexual harassment lawsuit where Catherine Alvarez was the attorney. So he ends up going to meet with Catherine Alvarez.
And then we kind of go into mediation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a big chunk of the movie.
And they revoke all his system privileges too once he starts
Entry
making
level.
it known his intentions.
They bust him
Yeah,
down
and
entry
Bob
level.
Garvin, he's like Bob Garvin's behind it. He says like throw him out on the street.
His friends start turning on him.
Bob Garvin, played by Donald Sutherland. Stan, you were able to snag an interview with said actor, Donald Sutherland. How did you do that?
Well, yeah, that's true. As we advertised, we do have an interview with a cast member from this movie, and I'm as good as my word. So yeah, I was able to get in touch with his reps at CAA, and we set up this interview, and he was able to give me 10 minutes, and I guess I guess we're about to play that interview with Donald Sutherland.
You got a lot of pull because it's not even a round table. It's just you and him.
We were just going back and forth, shooting the shit.
All right,
I heard he's hard to get a hold of these days, so that's a huge get.
It's a big get, especially for this show.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was recorded shortly before he died, but as you'll hear in the interview, he's quite ornery. But I mean, you'll see. I was grateful to speak to him.
All right. Without further ado, here is the interview.
Hey, Donald. It's Stan Switek from Watch This Movie. Thanks so much for agreeing to talk to me today. You know, this is huge. I mean, it's really exciting. This is really the first guest from, like, an actual movie that we've had on Watch This Movie. So I can't thank you enough and thanks for giving us your number so we could set this all up. You know, this is really amazing. I mean, on behalf of myself, Mulder, Wolfie T, the entire Watch This Movie family, we just want to thank you. And could you tell us the name of your agents at CAA who helped set this up for us? Because I think we'd really like to send them, you know, a proper thank you for getting this ball rolling.
Yeah. Stephen Chase at Crescent Capital, John Connolly.
All right, Stephen Chase, John Connolly, if you guys are listening, big thank you guys from all of us here at Watch This Movie.
Don't you think it's time we talked, you and me?
Yeah, well, so maybe Stephen and John told you, but this is Watch This Movies. We're calling it the Disclosure Day Special, and we're kind of celebrating Barry Levinson's disclosure. And as you know, that was a movie you did in 1994, and it's based on a novel by Michael Crichton.
What?
And I don't know what you thought about, you know, your time making the movie, but just speaking for myself, I think Disclosure is a really great film.
Baloney.
Oh, wow, okay, that's interesting. So I take it you had kind of a rough time on the shoot.
I mean, why can't you just forget it, you know?
Well, I mean, I can't forget about it because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Disclosure, Donald. So, I mean, what can you tell us? What did you think about working with Barry Levinson? I think this is your first time working with Barry. What did you think?
I want you to cut his balls off. Well, this merger is the most interesting merger I've had since my second marriage.
Okay, so working with Barry Levinson was not exactly a dreamboat, that's what I'm gathering from what you're saying. I mean, is that right?
Yeah.
So, I've read an article in Entertainment Weekly back from '94. It said you were on the record saying that Barry Levinson was not an easy man to get along with, and Barry, for his part, he completely denied anything as to that effect, and he said you were the one that was tough to work with.
He denies it?
Yeah, he does, and, you know, the movie itself was a huge hit at the box office. Critical reception overall seemed kind of mixed, and a lot of critics, I guess most notably Roger Ebert, he didn't like it at all, and he called it a quote unquote a launch pad for sex scenes, and that's kind of how he dismissed the movie.
And we'll kill him. I don't want that nosy little bastard messing up 30 years of our work. If it's such a mess, how come I'm so rich?
Well, indeed. I guess you are very rich. I mean, you've had such a long and illustrious career.
The Chinese say, may you live in interesting times.
Still, I think that's something to be proud of, that you were in a movie while the critical reception, it was mixed.
It's even worse than I thought.
It made a complete huge amount of money at the BO.
Dare I ask how?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why it did so great at the box office. Well, first off, it's based on a Michael Crichton novel, and this was coming out. You have to remember, this is just the next year after Jurassic Park, and they really sold that movie. If you remember, it's based on a Michael Crichton novel, so that brought a lot of people in just based on that. And then there was sort of like a sexy intrigue to the movie, and sexual harassment as a topic that was hot at the time.
Yeah.
And so was Demi Moore and Michael Douglas. So definitely, I think the combo of Michael Crichton and like the promise of kind of like a steamy thriller that really brought people in. So, in your preparation for the movie, did you read Disclosure, or were you familiar with Michael Crichton? What do you think about his novels?
On the cutting edge. I feel a kinship. This is a goddamn bomb we're sitting on that can blow everything sky high. And everybody makes a pile of money down the line. What's wrong with that?
And there's very few people nowadays that, even remember or even think about Disclosure. But here on Watch This Movie, I think at least you have maybe one fan, and that's me.
You know about this? I know about this. Nobody else. I've always liked you, Tom. You're so goddamn sentimental. That's the trouble with this country.
So yeah, what I think I'd like to do now is I'd like to give you like a series of rapid fire questions, or maybe I'll throw out some names that maybe people in your life or people you've worked with along your career, and you can give me your thoughts.
Plenty of time for that now.
Tom Sanders.
Tom Sanders. He heads up our manufacturing.
I think it's known that you're kind of in your past you've been an anti-war activist, kind of a staunch Democrat. What do you have to say about, people like Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, or maybe even Amy Klobuchar?
I've thought about it often since my daughter's death, that in today's climate, had she lived, it would be extremely rare that she ever got to run a company. The question now is, who do we find to run things up here in Seattle? And what I realized during this very interesting week is that I have probably focused too much on breaking the glass ceiling, on finding a woman to run things up here, when what I should have been looking for is the best person to run things up here.
Is there anything you can say about your charity work over the years?
Be compassionate, but be compassionate globally.
Your son, Kiefer Sutherland.
Throw him out on the sidewalk. I want you to cut his balls off.
Julie Christie, your co-star from Don't Look Now, and maybe you can comment on a certain long-standing rumor about the love scene of that movie.
How do you know that?
I can't have her involved in some sex scandal.
This is America, goddammit. The legal system is supposed to protect people like me.
Are there any cities that you love to visit? Do you have like a favorite city in, let's say in the U.S.? Let's narrow it down there.
It's always such a pleasure to come up to Seattle and spend time with the Advanced Products Group. I feel such a warmth for the people here.
Watch This Movie host Mulder.
I had no idea you two knew each other. Lit him up like a Christmas tree. Now you find him and you arrest him.
Watch This Movie host Mr. Positivity Wolfie T.
Is he crazy? What did history say about him? I don't want that nosy little bastard messing up 30 years of our work.
Have you ever listened to our podcast, Watch This Movie? And if so, what did you think?
Yeah. It's even worse than I thought. Turn that damn thing off.
Okay, well, with that, maybe we better start letting you go, Mr. Sutherland, because it seems like you're getting a little bit irritable, and it just seems like maybe, we should be wrapping this up. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I sense that this interview is winding down.
No, you work for me. This is a goddamn bomb we're sitting on that can blow everything sky high. 260 million Americans will be dead or dying. I would give them all a medal if I could. But they are casualties of war.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sutherland. Hopefully you'll, have a great day, and hopefully we'll hear from you again soon.
What a week.
Special thanks to Stan for getting that. It's a hell of a get, Stan.
Yeah. What a great interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Who was it over at CAA that set it up?
John Connolly and Stephen Chase and John Connolly.
That's right.
Shout out to those guys. Shout out to Donald Sutherland for taking the time.
Mm-hmm. He must be a big fan of Disclosure, recording that interview before he died a long time ago in preparation for this episode in the distant future.
He died 15 minutes after we recorded that interview.
He was so worked up. He died June of 2024.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, now in the story we're in the mediation sequences where Tom has enlisted the services of Catherine Alvarez, who's like a prominent sexual harassment attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of like
she's like the Gloria Allred for guys, basically, right?
Yes, and she explains that sexual harassment is not about sex; it's about power.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, she has it, you don't. Throughout this scene, these sequences, it feels like it's almost like the entire back half of the movie. Tom and Catherine Alvarez go head to head with Meredith and her attorney, played by Alan Neiman from Highlander 2: The Quickening.
I had my cellular phone with me, so when she called Garvin, I called Mark Lewin, head of our design, to give him an upshot on our meeting.
That's when she approached you.
That's correct. She took the phone from me and she kissed me.
Where?
She kissed me in my ear, on my neck, on my mouth. She put her tongue in my mouth.
When you asked her to stop, did she?
No. She unzipped my pants and she massaged my penis.
Were you aroused?
Yes. Yeah. Then she slid down and she put my penis in her mouth.
Did you climax?
I grabbed her by the wrists, I threw her on the ground, and then I wanted to get out of there.
And at that point, what did Ms. Johnson do?
She threatened me. She said, "You're dead." And then the next day, Mr. Blackburn here told me that she said that I had sexually harassed her.
And they sort of explore the case, and Tom's wife gets dragged into it, and she is there with him at a lot of the mediations, and Tom has to answer certain very uncomfortable questions that sort of like rock their marriage.
Yes, she finds out about it at a like a charity dinner or something, some kind of function that she joins Tom at, and it's Mark Dennis Miller and his wife, and Mark calls out Tom right in front of Susan for having sex or whatever with Meredith. I did like the line. There's a line in there that I thought was interesting because he goes, "Why don't I be the evil white male you're all complaining about?"
Yeah, that line holds up.
Which
that holds
is
up. That's
way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Just the balls to say that. Like, I don't think he would have been able to say that now. He would have probably been dead by the time he left the charity event. So his wife decides she's going to stand by her man, and she's going to join him for the mediation. And like you said, Stan, she's got to witness all these graphic details about putting his penis in Meredith's mouth, and she didn't know about that before that piece of the mediation, and she kind of flips out on him. She's like, "What else did you lie about?" He's nothing. That's all that happened. Everything else is the truth. But the Meredith's attorney does a great job of turning the tables and like discrediting Tom's story and making it seem like Tom was the aggressor, that he was the harasser, which is really interesting because it just shows like how these slimy attorneys can take anything and flip it on its head just by the way they phrase.
They bring up the conversation Tom had with Dennis Miller where they talk about boners and
Yep.
and because but Tom didn't actually say that, but he laughed, which means he condoned it.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a good move to bring in his secretary since he slapped her on the ass. She's been around the boys for the past several years. She's been in the locker room. She hears what they're talking about. So she was a great witness for the for Dummy's team.
You big dummy.
Well, they kind of use her too, because she has to say, yeah, sometimes he rubs my shoulders, sometimes he slaps me on the ass. And like she doesn't feel like she was harassed, but the way the attorney asked the question, it sounds like she thinks she was harassed. And she tries to like clarify, and he's like, no, shut up. Like we're done. No more. And she realizes what she did. She's like, oh, sorry, Tom. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Because it never like occurred to her before that that was inappropriate. Or it may have, but like
She
not
does
in that
say
way. She didn't think of it.
She felt a little uncomfortable with some of the touching, not necessarily the slapping specifically, but some of the touching. She says,
right,
she was uncomfortable or something.
Right, but you didn't think of it as like, oh, this guy is harassing me. It's just like that's just how he is. That's what happens
Right.
in the office. That's how guys are. Well, then the wife goes to lunch with Catherine Alvarez, and she's talking about how she's even like when they go home, she's telling Tom too, like she's basically fighting off men with a stick all day, every day, and like, why don't you just stand there and take it? That's what I would have did. Why do you have to make a big case about it? What are you, a pussy?
Well, if somebody did this to you, you should have said something
Well,
about
women
it.
have always done, Tom. I deal with it. I do not make a federal case out of it. Now go in there tomorrow and work it out.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I should just shut up and fuck her. I mean, what the hell?
Just apologize. Apologize and get your job back and get on with
Apologize?
it.
The shooter not sleeping.
Wait a minute. I got a better idea. Why don't I just admit it? Why don't I be that guy, that evil white male you're all complaining about? I like it. Then I can fuck everybody.
Tom, stop it.
Hey, Chow Min, come on down here, will you? I want to exercise my dominance.
Scaring her.
I'm getting a patriarchal urge.
Tom, the children.
Yeah, my children, all right? My children that I provide for and protect. That they can come in here between me and my wife, move my family out, take my job, and take the family and the house that we have made. And I apologize to them, Susan. They call me a rapist and I apologize. Oh, come on, Susan, this is some kind of joke. Sexual harassment is about power. When did I have the power? When?
He doesn't want to move to Austin.
She doesn't want to move to Austin. She's like, I'll drop dead before we move to Austin.
Yeah, well, he doesn't seem too excited about it either.
And
he's more
going
pissed off about getting the shaft, but
and going to the Austin offices is considered like the kiss of death because Bob Garvin says like going to Austin is like making a lateral move from duck to a l'orange.
Yeah.
or
And
something
didn't
like
they
that.
mention something about maybe some downsizing is in order after the merger, as in like the Austin office would be deleted basically? It would be repurposed elsewhere, or just
I don't remember.
with the merger happening.
Well, yeah,
It
there's
seemed
going to
like
be
Austin
redundancies
wasn't.
after the merger.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that
we'll
was the
move you
thing
to
when
Austin, but then once the merger happens, you're going to be laid off.
pretty much. Well, the ratings on the wall. That's without saying it, they said it.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the thing when Meredith accepted her promotion. Like, she didn't name any of the department heads, and the implication was that she was going to fire at least one, if not all of them.
Right.
I did think it was funny. There's a couple scenes where Tom's trying to get Disney tickets for his family, and his wife finally procures them from a guy named Jafar, like from Aladdin, like the bad
Mm-hmm.
guy. But you
Yeah,
never see
actually, and they're
Jafar.
talking about Disneyland, so this is Disney. So there actually is Jafar from Aladdin.
Yeah.
And Aladdin was 93, right?
Might have been 92, but yeah, it was
It would have
92
been
or 93.
just 1 or 2 years before this movie.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because like they continue like trying to pursue these Disney tickets. It's just like a throwaway like add-on, but they insist on closing the plot hole or the loop where it's like, oh, he did get the tickets, but then you never hear about him again. I thought it was interesting how they made a point to very prominently show that he enjoyed an ice cold Coca-Cola during the mediation. Coca-Cola Classic. There's a big, nice close up on him at the vending machine and then cracking the
Mhm.
can. So the case flips
They
when
do bring up Alvarez brings up the point that bottle of wine that she got was very hard to get. Doesn't sold in Seattle. You have to get it from California. There's no way that the secretary is going to be able to get that unless she had it in her private collection, and that was kind of the first chink in the armor, so to say.
Right. So it shows like premeditation.
Mhm.
And then it flips when Tom calls Mark's phone. We didn't mention earlier, immediately prior to being attacked by Meredith, he was on the phone with Mark, well, who he thought was Mark. He was leaving a message about how she wanted to handle the problems with the Archimax. And he realizes, oh, I didn't dial Mark. I dialed somebody else. And I never hung up the phone because my battery died before I got home that night. And I should have more battery than that. So he finds out that the guy he did call has the whole incident on his answering machine tape. And Digicom's goons came to clear out his stuff, but he saved a copy of the tape for Tom. And so on the tape, you hear that Meredith was the aggressor, and then she flips her story from being like I was raped to it was consensual, but he was the instigator. And Catherine Alvarez has a great line. She goes, "Mr. Sanders is no, the other guy, the other attorney, I think it says." He goes, "Mr. Sanders' regret is not my client's harassment." So they flipped it so that she was under trial for being harassed, but then she said it was consensual, so therefore, nothing happened. Anyways, we mentioned he got $100K for pain and suffering. He got his job back. They said they were going to pay attorney's fees. It's kind of implied that the attorney's fees are in addition to the $100K. I don't know if that's true or not. And then they said Meredith's going to get fired after the merger because she kind of orchestrated the merger or saved it. But the anonymous A friend email says it's not over. You need to solve the problem.
Yeah, you think
fix
the
is
movie's
in.
over, but you think there's the movie's over, but there's a whole other part that now we're going into cyberspace.
Yeah, so Tom catches Phil and Meredith. So Meredith's on the treadmill or the stationary bike or whatever, and Phil is talking to her. Tom catches them talking about how they're gonna blame Tom for the Archimex drive not working and run him out of the company for cause, which they can do despite the agreement that they had. And so he starts investigating what happened with the Archimex drive because it's not a design flaw. Everything was good, but once they go to manufacturing, they come back defective and not working. And so he's got to sneak into the hotel to use the VR system to look it up because they
Mhm.
have the VR system. It's like a hall of records where you go in and you pull the files out and you look at them one by one, but it's in virtual reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sci-fi element of the film rears its head. Although they did have a scene in the beginning to show it, to showcase it. That's the the abilities of the VR.
And then when he goes
But
in there, like Meredith, the avatar of Meredith is like stalking him.
Yeah.
And he like almost like falls over an edge, like a virtual edge.
Mm-hmm.
Which why is there an edge in that VR system?
And he's like in a hotel room, like, but he's like standing on like a trampoline like platform. So like he's not gonna fall. He's like
Right.
but he's like standing there and he's like, whoa, as he like looks over the edge.
He almost no clips out of reality. Have you heard this?
He almost
No
got into
clipping out of
the
reality.
he almost got into the back rooms.
I
Well, then
felt
it
like
would
an
have
old
really
fuck
would have
the
been a
other day
party.
because I was reading about the concepts of the back rooms and this and that. It was like, oh, somebody no clips out of reality, they might find themselves in the back rooms. It's like, what the fuck is no clipping themselves out of reality? And then I found out it was a gamer term and whatnot. And I understand it, but I was like, ugh, it's kind of a. I know I just turned 40, so I guess I have excuses to look that shit up now. No clipping.
Yeah, it's like if you're playing a video game
You could have just
act-
called it a video game glitch.
that's basically what it is. You walk through a
Yeah.
wall that you're not supposed to
Right.
walk through, and then everything is just like glitched out,
Unmapped or not
not
mapped to the
not
rest of the
rendered,
game. It's
not
like
rendered properly.
right. But instead of a non-rendered video game, it's a back room of some office building from the early 90s.
There's a lot of stuff in there. That's not even the worst part. The worst part is the therapy. So anyways, Meredith is trying to delete all the files. She doesn't know that Tom's in there. Tom finds out that her and Arthur, who we didn't mention, but he talked to Arthur at the beginning of the movie about the issue. Like literally everybody is in on this conspiracy except for Tom, it feels like. And maybe his immediate team. But they kind of get pulled in as patsies throughout. But anyways, Meredith had made the decision to basically cheap out on the manufacturing in Malaysia. And so those decisions have ruined the Archimax. And so she's trying to cover her ass and make it look like Tom made those decisions. So once he figures that out, he barely avoids getting caught by like literally everybody involved in the merger from an executive standpoint. When he gets out, he gets away, and he manages to get all the files from Malaysia faxed to him. So they have the big announcement or a meeting about the merger the next day. And Meredith is talking about it and how great everything is, except for Tom screwed up the Archimax shit and she tries to throw him under the bus. And he flip flops it on her. And he's got the evidence in hand about all the shit that she did, and she said, "Oh, I never went there." And he's got video of her touring the factory, and she basically eats all of the blame.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of implied later that she also was not really to blame for it. She maybe was the one that delivered the orders, but it might have come from above her. Bob Garvin gets off scotch free, but I think he's behind everything that happens in the movie, and he just kind of skates, which lucky for him, I guess. And nobody cares after the at the end because Meredith is gone and Tom has his job back, and that other lady got promoted, and so like everybody's
I mean, it
happy.
was kind of a mess in front of everyone and the supposed new investors and whatnot, but
And Bob makes a big deal, like, "Oh, I should have been, so I shouldn't have been so quick to break the glass ceiling. I should have promoted based on uh, merit, and so I'm going to promote this other lady instead." And you find out her that she was, well, it was like
her son,
her
right?
and her son probably,
Her
or the
son was
anonymous.
like a TA for the professor. Arthur Friend, was that his name? Arthur?
I think so. Yeah.
So
They
a friend,
they had like two
which was
Arthurs
kind of
in the
stupid,
movie.
but
Right. He couldn't track down where the email was from. Like, I don't
because yeah,
believe that was a thing.
there's no from to, there was no return address
Yeah.
on the email, but
And he couldn't
but
reply.
he couldn't figure out how to get his signature off of the email. A
Like,
friend.
even back then, I don't think it was possible to send emails without like the from address listed. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't think you can do that now. Maybe you can mask it. I don't know.
Send it
Stephanie
secure.
was the other one. Stephanie was the woman that got promoted,
No, you're right. Okay.
but her son was a TA for this Professor Arthur Friend who was out of the country. And oh, so that means you had access to his office and probably know his email password. And he kind of smiled. He gives a stupid smile to him, like, "You figured it out." But I assume it was his mom writing the emails. Like, "Is your cock hard yet?"
Hmm.
Anyway, that's kind of how it ends. Oh.
Yeah, that's about it. Any other final thoughts, Stan, before we
No.
rate it?
No, we covered it all.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go around the room. Let's get your ratings. Stan, I wanted to give you the opportunity to go a little more in depth because when I was watching this, so I watched it and I went on Letterboxd and I looked at your rating for it. It was only 2.5 stars at the time because this is before you rewatched it. I think you since given a different rating. But I was thinking like, oh, 2.5 stars. He must not really cared for that much. I wonder why he wanted to do an episode on it. But with that context, I guess you can give us your current rating for the film.
Well, my last rating of it was 3 stars, and it's not a great movie. It's not even really a good movie, but it's an interesting movie that takes you into like the world of corporate intrigue, and it has an air of authenticity to it because of Michael Crichton,
Sure.
and it's a Michael Douglas. It's also a Michael Douglas erotic thriller. It's an erotic cyberpunk thriller, and that means it's like a kind of one of a kind movie. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the sexual harassment craze of the mid '90s when that issue became more prominent in the people's consciousness. And
I
I think
forgot to
it's a
mention
fun,
earlier.
I like it,
Sorry, go ahead.
despite it not being a great movie, but I've seen it so many times, and just like there's so many scenes, like the emails, like "Is your cock hard yet?" and the encounter between Tom and Meredith, where he says, you take those 2 champagne bottles in the fridge and you go fuck them. And like, there's so many wild scenes, like the nightmare sequence with Donald Sutherland, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of great scenes in it.
We forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about cyberpunk, but maybe another one of your more favored 90s action thrillers, Virtuosity. Would that be a cyberpunk movie?
Yeah, I think so. I think arguably more, yeah, more so than
Yeah.
Disclosure. It is, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. A lot of virtual reality stuff. Brett, what did you think? Disclosure. A rewatch for you.
Yeah, I looked. I watched it initially in 2019. And I remember, thinking it was good, but I kind of forgot about it since then. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very compelling. I liked the maneuvering, and it felt, like I felt like I could relate a little bit to it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not on that level of all that stuff, but I've gotten a little taste of it here and there. So some of it was not necessarily the sexual harassment stuff, but
I was
like
gonna say,
just
who you been slapping around at work?
just the corporate environment and the politicking, um, like felt a little bit familiar. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with that personally,
Mhm.
but it's like a roller coaster ride. Like there's so much stuff that goes on in the movie, so many twists and turns. I thought it was great. I really liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I think it's a WTM soonish.
Soonish.
Okay. Yes, I gave it 3 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. I give it an eventually.
Eventually.
I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was a bit I don't know what the right word is. Almost like not a movie of the week, but something that was maybe a little more predictable with its outcome, with its quote unquote twists and turns. I didn't think that was all that imaginative, but like I said earlier, there were some things that I wasn't expecting to count later in the plot, and then they did. They came up again. And I thought, well, okay, that's pretty good writing. They put this here, they put this there. This paid off in the end. This paid off. So decently written, and there's some great dialogue. There's some really funny scenes. I know they didn't make a comedy, but there's definitely comedic scenes, and some of it may be unintentional. You're talking about sexual harassment in the workplace, but it's easier to laugh at it when you know it wasn't. It's okay if the true victim is a man, right? You can kind of look past that. It doesn't really matter. You can kind of laugh at it. As long as we're not, laughing about an assaulted woman, like it's it's fair game then. Whether that's fair or not, there's a lot of funny scenes. I wouldn't say there was great twists and turns, but there was enough to keep me interested in the plot. And Dummy Moore.
You dummy!
Looks fantastic in here. As I said, she looks different than some of her later works, even just a couple of years after this, but very easy on the eyes. There's no nudity in this movie, is there?
No.
Do you mind taking your top off so we can see your breasts?
Which is saying something that it's in an age of erotic thrillers, it's still erotically satisfying with no nudity. That's pretty good. It says a lot about Demi Moore.
Okay, dummy.
What she can do with her clothes on still. But yeah, there was a lot of things you could relate to, being a kind of what you were talking about, Brett, being a man in the workforce, in the corporate environment. It was kind of amusing to see, I guess, the shoe being on the other foot, so to say, some of the things that happened in this one. So yeah, I would recommend it. 3 stars eventually. Check it out, which we hope you did. Although this episode is a little different than others. We always tell you the movie that we're going to cover so you can watch it ahead of time. And, we kind of did. We were promoting it heavily on the airwaves, on Twitter, anywhere you saw our content, we were talking about Disclosure Day.
I mean,
If you
maybe
couldn't
you
figure out
confused it
we
with
were
some
talking,
other
if you couldn't figure
movie,
out we
but-
were talking about the '94 Disclosure, that's your own problem.
I mean, to be fair, this was probably our most promoted episode ever. We mentioned Disclosure about 100 times across episodes and social media posts.
This is an event.
Sure is.
It was.
It's full
It is.
disclosure to the entire world all at once.
And I was very careful to say this is, June 12th is Disclosure Day on Watch This Movie. I didn't say, hey, we're going to discuss Disclosure Day ad nauseum. We once said we're going to break down Disclosure Day 2026.
Yeah, we never said we were going to talk about that Steven Spielberg movie.
So any new listeners? We hope we didn't piss you off too much. Hope you enjoyed the show. They were just pissed off sitting through 2.5 hours of Disclosure.
When do you get to the aliens? Oh, we mentioned this cleaning lady.
They better like it.
When I'm through listening with this, I'm going to give them one heck of a review on Apple Podcasts.
They better like I made the goddamn Digicom Zoom backdrops and everything. So, and I got Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, this is one of our also most produced episodes we've ever done.
Yes.
From the backdrops, as you mentioned, to the interview, there was a lot that went into this. The promotion, that I would say probably hands down our most produced episode, even if it's a movie. Well, Brett, you gave it the highest marks. You did give it 4 stars in a Soonish.
I did.
So
I thought it was great.
Pretty highly regarded by Mr. Brett.
Very enjoyable.
But yeah, we all enjoyed it. Go out and watch it. God, it was like the last month we've been ending episodes with like, hey, you got to stay tuned for June 12th, Disclosure Day, and watch this movie. Now we can just plug our summer series, I guess.
We're going to do trivia?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we can do that first. We'll do a few fun facts.
Hey, everybody, here's some fun facts.
Well, here's a good one. A decade later, Demi Moore was sued for sexual harassment by the caretaker of her Idaho ranch, Lawrence Bass, who claimed that she hit on him in the same manner she used to approach Douglas's character in this film, then fired him after he rejected her advances. The case was dismissed.
Get lost, dummy.
It's also an interesting story how this was maybe 10 or so years ago. A teenager broke into Demi Moore's home and got into her drug stash and ended up drowning in her pool.
Oh, really?
And these
Yeah.
Hollywood types are constantly having people drown in their pools.
Child's Friends or something? I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds familiar now that you mention it.
I know that happened in, wasn't that Pamela Anderson, Tommy Lee? Didn't some kid drown in their pool at a birthday party or something?
Yes. But I think you might be right. I think it was when she was married to Ashton Kutcher.
Here's a fun fact.
I see a note here. It was featured on the comedy podcast, How Did This Get Made? I have to edit this, update it to include watch this movie. Don't think that's
the press kit for the
IMDb worthy trivia. But
here's a fun fact.
The press kit for the film was the first multimedia press kit issued by Warner Brothers, with them producing it on a 1.44 megabyte floppy disk. Should have put it on CD-ROM.
Here's another fun fact.
So this was one of 3 major theatrical feature films about the subject of sexual harassment that were first released around the time of the early to mid 90s. The movies are Oleana from 94, written and directed by David Mamet and based on his play. Disclosure, of course, and Gross Misconduct, directed by George Miller, based on the play by Lance Peters. I haven't seen the other 2. I'm interested by that Mamet one. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with either of those.
Oleana, starring William H. Macy. Let's see here. There's only 4 in the cast.
Well, if it's based on a play, it's probably all in one room.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a fun fact.
In the United Kingdom, the film's poster was removed from Liverpool bus shelters because it was considered too sexually suggestive, especially in light of the fact that Liverpool County Council had just run an ad campaign promoting the safety of their buses to women traveling alone at night. I wonder if they still run those ads today.
Here's a fun fact.
Oh, here we go. Demi Moore biked 28 miles every morning pre-dawn to get in shape for this film. She'd given birth to her third child a month before she was cast.
Mm.
Look here, you big dummy.
So that was probably, in the movie, she's talking about Tom Sanders' wife and the baby fat. So, she was kind of in a similar situation.
So meta.
Oh, here's a fun fact.
Milos Forman was originally attached to direct, but left the film due to creative differences with Michael Crichton. I see this, it was also the third most rented VHS of 1995. I think I remember looking at the, let's go back to the box office, because I think I looked at it earlier and being shocked by how much money this movie made. Let's see here.
It was a pretty big hit.
There's a trivia thing here. It says it made $214 million against a $50 million budget.
I mean, I guess 50 million kind of makes sense since it has the virtual reality and, some CGI type stuff. I mean, it still seems kind of big, but obviously still a big hit, and 214 was nothing to sneeze at in the 90s. That's a lot of money.
Well, the trailer had simple words that got their butts in the seats from the writer of Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Crichton, when the book came out in January 94 and the movie came out in December 94. So he had already made a deal he already made a movie deal like as the book first came out.
I haven't seen the trailer or don't remember it, but I can just picture, world of corporate intrigue. Michael Douglas, Demi Moore, disclosure.
You big dummy.
Here's another fun fact.
It says here Michael Crichton sold the movie rights for $1 million before the novel was published. And another source reports Michael Crichton reportedly received $3.5 million for the rights to his novel. Apparently, one of Michael Crichton's pseudonyms as a writer was Michael Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to the Andromeda strain.
It's we met in the middle there, so I think that'll do it for fun facts. Now we can plug our summer series, Mindbenders, in which one episode will feature Stan Switek returning to discuss the game, also starring Michael Douglas from 97, I think.
Yep.
We will also be covering Donnie Darko, Mulholland Drive, Jacob's Ladder, Altered States, and one other one. Oh, Fear and Loathing
in Las Vegas.
That's right. We put that out there. We weren't sure if we'd done an episode on that before. We don't think we have, but we feel like we should have or did, and it got lost. I don't know. We can't find it, so we must not have done it. So I'll be looking forward to that. There will be one or two recently seen episodes sprinkled in. So there's lots of content coming your way. Other than that, Stan, thank you so much for joining us and putting in all the legwork, doing all the behind the scenes stuff to make this episode happen. Anything you want to plug?
No, not right now. Thanks for having me again.
Mm-hmm. You do have a great YouTube channel that people need to check out. There's a lot of fun content on there. I will, of course, post the link in the show notes along with links to everything else. You follow Stan on Twitter. He's a great follow on Twitter. And check out his Letterboxd as well. You can email the show at watchthismovie@yahoo.com. You can follow the show on X at watchthis_movie or Brett at Positively Both One, which is also his Letterboxd profile. Mine can be found under Eric_Mulder. Stan, you're on X as was it Stan Switek FPS?
Yes. Yes.
That's the handle. Okay. Please rate and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast apps. Other than that, we will check you later.
Guess we'll see you around.
All right, check you later.
Bye.
Wait, man, why are you always such a dork, man? What are you talking about? Check you later. Check you later.
Hey, man, get off my case.
Oh, man.
Now, she doesn't give you a boner because, I definitely have liftoff. What about you, Frisky? You got a little wood in your life?
She's very nice.
Yeah.